No way.
Ben Hawes?
Nicole Pascaretta.
We're here. Let's do this.
Let's go in. Is this where you live?
No. So you should actually ring the doorbell.
Okay.
Perfect.
Oh
Here they
God.
come.
Ah!
Cue the photo shoot. We have camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, check. Nicole Pascaretta, you're on in 3, 2, you got this, babe.
Hi, my name is Nicole Pascaretta, and welcome to Life in Ben, a show where we talk about Ben's upcoming projects. And today we're going to be talking about his new EP, Boys Who Kept Me Up at Night. EP stands for Extended Play, which is more than a single and a little bit less tracks than a full album. That'll help you out throughout our conversation. Ben J. Hawes is an artist and renowned musical comedian with hits like Split My Pizza, Freaky With You, Ginger Ale Boys, and my personal favorite, The Hottest Girl, parentheses, I'm Not Gay. Ben is not only a comedian, he is also a singer-songwriter. Ben, can you tell all of us about this project?
Yeah, typically I do musical comedy. And as I've developed in musical comedy, one of my favorite pieces was the music. I loved being able to put together lyrics. I love to be able to be clever in the lyrics. But as I've developed in my own journey as a human, I have realized there's a need and kind of a burning desire within me to actually address some of the things that are a little bit less funny in my life. And some of those things tend to be around relationships, around love, around being open to love and open to dating. And so I've been in therapy, and I've been talking to my therapist about opening up. And this album, it's really like a manifestation of these 3 moments, these 3 sleepless nights, these 3 boys who kept me up at night. The first track is called Never Know, and it's about a college relationship that I had.
Okay.
The second track is called Sing About You, which is about a crush that I had on somebody who was a songwriter. And the third song is called Just One Night, which is about really like a night that I met somebody and got really excited about them. And he was just from out of town. So it was not something that was gonna last a long time.
So you were saying earlier, you felt like this was your time to be vulnerable and depart more from the comedic songs.
Yeah.
Yes, you are in those processes of wanting to open yourself up, but it's very bold of you to sing these vulnerable songs when people know you as like a very silly person.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering why now? Why this album now?
I think as I did comedy, one of my favorite compliments that I would get is that the songs were vulnerable and they were earnest and they made people feel things. And, even Split My Pizza, is one of my songs that's humorous, it's comedic, it's funny, there's funny lines, but at the end of the day, it's about looking for love. My song Ginger Ale Boys is about, being on an airplane and having nothing in common with some cowboys. I'm this Broadway, kind of obsessed guy, and these 2 cowboys are watching football and their teams are losing and, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's about connection. I also think that just personally, I've been on the journey with my Life in Bold podcast. I've had so many conversations about this idea that when we are young, when we're kids, when we're in maybe, junior high-ish and before, we're ourselves and we are able to express ourselves, we're able to say what we want. And then by the time we kind of hit junior high, high school, even college sometimes, we kind of take some of that back. We kind of say like, I don't want to be that person. I want to hide. I'm a little bit scared. And then by the time we hit 25, 30, 35, whatever age, it does feel like most of the people that I talk to on Life in Bold realize that was bullshit. Like, I want to be myself. I want to be the kind of person I was when I was a child. And I think that when I first came out of the closet as gay, which is breaking news.
What?
When I first came out of the closet when I was 19, the person that I met that this first song is about, Never Know, I was totally open. I was totally open to love and dating and finding companionship and all of that. And after, the 2 or 3 years of the relationship, which was kind of like an off and on situation, kind of a lot of rejection, I noticed that I had actually made a promise to myself to not let somebody control my emotions in that way. Like I was like, when I was 21, maybe I said, I'm I'm not gonna look for love. Like, and I actually made like a conscious decision one night, and it took me all of my 20s to like be able to move forward from that.
So you said you were like, I'm closing the doors. I'm no longer looking for love because this boy hurt me so much.
Yeah, he kept me up at night.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
you know, what it was is like, and I grew up with bipolar disorder, and I am, you know, able to manage a lot of it, but I'm very conscious of my moods and my happiness. And when I just noticed that when I was looking for love, it felt like I was more turbulent with my moods. Like I was happy if I had acceptance and love and companionship, and I was sad or upset or angry if I didn't. And I just didn't like that I didn't have the control over that.
Oh, I love that. So you're like, I want to be loving myself first, and then I can...
Even protecting myself.
Okay.
Even more just from a safety perspective and from an independence perspective. Like, I think I even said the line to myself, if I can be 90% happy on my own versus 180 all the time or 100 all the time, that's what I want. And it turns out that was just not the right person to be making those decisions about.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing that you are sharing all of this, and it is such a gift to all of your fans that you are so open about all of these things that you just brought up, and that you are being your absolute true self on this EP. It's going to be very helpful for others to hear.
I think so. I think it'll be exciting. I have only really been rewarded when I've been vulnerable and honest with the audience. I have never heard someone say that I've necessarily oversharing or something that I shared was not good to share. I think I'm also pretty like careful about, you know, names and like telling specifics from stories, but the impact is always important to share, I think.
So could you tell me the names of each boy? I'm kidding.
You know, I don't like to say the names because if they know, they'll know.
Okay,
They'll
if you know, you know.
If you think the song's about you, it's about you.
You get so much done, and it amazes me because as an artist, like, especially with solo projects, it stops. I stop myself, but it's easier for me to like push those solo projects aside. But I was wondering, how are you able to produce solo content for yourself?
Yeah, I think it might be something that's just kind of like within me where I really love it. I think the solo is a word that I really like. I find that like doing things on my own, producing things on my own, building things on my own, and being able to, you know, plan, produce, and promote things that are a direct reflection of my life, my story, my energy, all of that. I get more excited about those projects than things that are collaborative. I don't know. I get asked this question sometimes, like, how do you do so much? How do you have so much time in the day? How do you kind of make things happen so quickly? I think it just is a mixture of two things. The first thing is I really just enjoy sitting there and creating stuff that helps tell my story. And it's not about my story because I think my story is big and important, but I just enjoy telling it. And I think that the more we all tell our stories, the better. And then number two, I think it's just a matter of like, I have done it for a long time. In high school, I had a web show where like many days I would come home from school and make videos, and it was just really fun for me. I think from a getting so much done in a short amount of time perspective, I tend to not be much of a perfectionist. And so there were actually two things when I turned 30 years old that kicked off this whole journey. One was I wanted to be more collaborative because I knew that I could start bringing people in on projects and it would make the projects better. And number two, I wanted to be more of a perfectionist. Because, you know, a lot of times I would write something or I would put something out and it would be fine. It would be good, you know, but like it wasn't like a big, you know, cool, amazing project. So that's something with something like this EP, I wrote these songs like last summer, and I reached out to people throughout the process to collaborate and to help me make it more perfect. And I've really enjoyed that transition for me, taking my time, taking a beat, and allowing myself to create and produce something that's like really meaningful versus writing a song, putting it on Instagram once, and then I leave it behind. I've wanted to really like take projects and like get them up there.
And you're absolutely doing that with
It feels like
with
it.
this project.
Yeah.
And yeah, for me, I definitely lean more into the perfectionist side, which makes sense why I don't release things solo as often. So that's very
Yeah.
helpful to hear.
Yeah.
And you have collaborated with a lot of individuals on this EP. Can you tell us?
Yeah, Shania Twain, Sabrina Carpenter. Yeah, those two are on the album. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, spoiler!
Yeah.
Look, wait until February 6th, everyone.
Yeah. No,
But
just
who
kidding.
did you collaborate on this album, and what were their roles?
Yeah, so the kind of idea of this album is that these songs were written in the middle of the night. And they were written by me in the middle of the night with my guitar.
For real?
I wrote the songs
In the middle of the night?
in the middle of the night. Yes.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I do tend to write the best stuff in the middle of the night, like 2,
Okay.
3 a.m. And that's kind of what started to give me the idea for the album, you know, because it's kind of this double meaning of like boys who kept me up at night because I was anxious, boys who kept me up at night because I was fawning over them, or I was looking at their Instagrams or texting my friends about them or whatever. But then they also keep me up at night because I have to write songs about them. And I think that it felt like a really good name for the album to be able to kind of have the idea of like me being a bit of an insomniac, me being somebody who has had to reel in my sleep schedule, because that's a big impact on my creative process. But once I knew I had a collection of 3 songs that I wanted to put into an album, into an EP, I reached out to EP himself, Evan Panzer.
So that's what EP means.
Evan Panzer is a producer, another multi-hyphenate. He's a songwriter, and I have gone to a number of his own shows, and I like a lot of his songs.
Okay.
And so we actually, throughout all of December and some of January, went to a studio in Manhattan, and we recorded these songs. And so the instrumentals that you hear on the album are actually recorded by Evan himself, and then he guided me through the process of recording the vocals. So I wrote the songs, we collaborated on the vibe and the sound, and then we also collaborated on the final product.
Speaking of songwriting, can you talk about your songwriting process with this EP and throughout your life?
Yeah.
What is your relationship?
You know, it's funny. That brings up a memory for me. That question brings up a memory throughout my life of a time I was in 7th grade and I was at summer camp in Lake Tahoe, California. And I remember writing, like, there was a guy who was in my like cabin group, and he wrote a song. Like, that's one of the activities he did while he was at camp. And I just thought it was so cool that he did that. And I think it was a moment for me where I was like, oh, it was like 7th grade. I was like, people write songs, people do art, people do all kinds of things, and we can be individuals. Like, it was just a moment for me in my adolescence that I realized, oh, I don't really have to do what everybody else is doing. And so I remember I got home from camp and I wrote my first song. And the first song I remember actually performing for somebody about is my friend Kelly. Kelly is my best friend who lives in Oregon, but I met her in 7th grade, and she quickly became my girlfriend in 7th and 8th grade. And we just we were friends, and then we like went to a Green Day concert together, which was the American Idiot like tour, and we we just kind of ended up in a junior high kind of relationship situation. And I wrote her a song. Girls, it's like girls who kept me up at night. It's basically the vibes. And I wrote her a song, and I sang it to her. So I think 20 years later, when I was around the time that I was turning 30, which was this big transition for me, she said something about how music was my biggest calling before I started doing even musical comedy, professionally.
That's right.
And she just kind of mentioned that music was the first way that I ever expressed myself to her. even, and it's actually funny because the song was called The First Girl. And it was just like kind of about like how she was the first girl that I ever asked out, basically. And
the last.
the first and the last. Actually,
Well,
no.
more at 11.
More at 11. The Girls Who I Asked Out in High School is my next EP coming out February 7th. No, I did really like that she said that, but it didn't make quite enough sense. So as I continued to develop and go into my journey of musical comedy and then music and comedy, I did notice that it is my calling. Like, it does feel like music is something that I love in a really big way. So when it comes to songwriting, it's just something I've always done. Like, I know that like as I've opened up, I've been able to write more and more songs, and as I've done the Life in Bold interviews on the podcast, I've been able to like access different parts of me. And I think that when it comes to songwriting, I write songs every day. Like, I really feel like I write something every day.
Really?
I went to the dentist today. I wrote a song about it. I think the fact that I was able to pull the 3 most authentic, deepest, and like best songs, there's probably 100 of them.
I love that. So you're saying it like comes out of you, like it just goes blah, 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 blah. Like, or is it like you hear the beat? I mean, this could be. I have heard many musicians and songwriters say like, "Oh, this question, like, oh, I came up with the words, I came up with the beat," like. But then I've also heard a lot. It's like spiritual, like it just like comes from within or from a higher power. Is there like a feeling you have about that with you, like the fact that it does come to you in the middle of the night, the fact that you write songs every day, like that's very special.
You know what? As you're talking, it reminds me of the first night that I wrote Never Know.
Oh, which is track 1?
Track 1.
Track 1, Never Know.
Kind of about my college relationship. And I was actually in the middle of writing a comedy song about it. And this was a relationship that at times was very like secret. And so the comedy song was about moments that I may have ruined the secret, which is a funny concept, like, as you know, I was too public with this, or, whatever. And then I just had a moment where I kind of stopped myself, and I was like, I was going through all these different concepts. I was like, what's funny about this? What's funny about this? What's funny about this? And then I was like, maybe it's absolutely not funny.
Yeah.
Like, maybe it's something that in order to get to the funny, I need to go through it. I need to like be able to feel what I need to feel. And I need to be able to honestly like say the real fact, which is that like I am like heartbroken about it. And like I kind of like in some certain ways like still am. And there's some lines in the song that feel like they're pretty like honest. And even if it's how I felt in a 10-minute span, they feel really honest to me. So asking the question, like, what do I really want to say, shifted me into this album.
So that's what brought you into this like more serious, and of course there's still comedy infused because you're Ben, you're who you are.
Yeah.
The comedy inspires the vulnerability and the vulnerability, and it's just a little bit more vulnerable side, more stripped down.
Yeah, and it feels that my comedy songs really ultimately are pretty vulnerable.
Yeah.
But these songs are not hiding behind anything.
Yeah, it's hard to like put it into words, but it's almost like it's not a character. It's like comedy songs.
Yeah.
But it's just different. It's really you, which is extremely brave. I think it's very bold.
Yeah.
Very hard to be fully yourself.
I know it does feel bold, and it also feels like it doesn't feel like it's hard to do for me. But it does feel like the thing I need. It does feel like it feels like the avenue I need to take to achieve the impact that I want to have.
Now, Ben, we have a little surprise for you.
No way. What is it?
Okay, so one of my favorite podcasts, Good Hang, with Amy Poehler, she talks well behind her guest's back with someone that knows her guests well. And I talked well behind your back, actually.
To who?
Denise!
Oh my gosh. It's Denise.
Hi, I'm Denise. I'm a bridal hair and makeup artist here in New York City, and I'm one of Ben's best friends, his hype woman, and a frequent victim of his camera roll, but it's obviously self-inflicted. Ben and I met a couple of years ago at a flash mob, and we just clicked instantly. We both have that same very creative energy, and we're always looking for new projects to start, whether it's for ourselves, our business, or other people. And what I love most about Ben is he's just unapologetically himself. And he's never afraid to try something new or go in a new direction, especially creatively. And that's really why I'm so excited about this new EP of his coming out. So Ben, my question for you is, if this EP was a night out in New York City, where would it start and where would it end? So proud of you. Love you.
Oh, what a great question. Thank you, Denise, friend of the show.
Friend of the show, Life and Ben. Thank you for doing that. That made me almost cry. I feel like that was like, you know, in life, like it's nice when someone kind of gives back the love that you feel like you give out, you know? And I feel like you do that so much and Denise does that so much. So it's really nice to feel like I have that support as I launch this EP, Boys Who Kept Me Up at Night, on February 6th. I love that question because I'm actually doing a project that's really a companion to the album, which is a short film, and it's also a music video trilogy. What's cool about this question is that I do think that the music video project that I'm doing does follow the album. It really is about opening up. As the album goes on, I open up. And as the album goes on, I get bolder, I get louder, I get faster, I get harder, better, faster, stronger. If I had to imagine it as a night out in New York, it would be something that would be pretty late. It would end at 4 a.m. It would be something that would start with a lot of reflection. It might be a birthday dinner. It might be a New Year's Eve. A moment when you're really thinking about who am I and what's my role in this world and what's my role in my relationships. And so I think that for me, those tend to be milestones. And I think that one of the original, this is not going to ultimately be in the film, so this is kind of a deleted scene. There was a moment when I saw Call Me By Your Name, and it kind of just reminded me of that kind of secret queer relationship that I hadn't totally addressed in my life, in therapy. And so it was at the movies, and I remember it did start a long night of reflection because I was going down the escalator and I was just like, I was stunned. The woman was too stunned to speak. I realized I had really unresolved feelings. I had a long journey to go on.
Yeah.
And so I just honestly that ride down the escalator in the movie theater really, to me, was a signal that I wasn't living my life in bold. I wasn't allowing myself to feel emotions. And so that's where the night would start. It would be a night where you're just like, oh shit, something's up. Then you would go out and you would decide to dance. You would make the conscious decision to go out on your own and meet somebody. You would meet somebody, you would like them, but then something's wrong with that. Maybe they are taken. Maybe they're a heterosexual human being. Maybe they are just not available for whatever reason, or maybe they're just not the right match. And then you would end the night meeting somebody who just lights you up. And maybe it's still not right forever, but it was something that made you happy for a moment, and it made you realize, maybe this is something I want.
I love that. And I feel like your songwriting, I really do picture, like I can see what is happening in my mind's eye.
Really?
And I, of course, like feel New York energy. Like you bring in sirens, you bring in the West Village, I believe.
Yeah, the West Side.
The West Side.
Yeah. You gotta have the West Side in the song.
So yeah, and you've been in New York for 11 years.
11 years.
Which is 1/3 of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you did the math.
Yeah, so New York, do you feel New York is a character of the EP?
Yeah,
or is it a part of it?
I feel like I align so well with just general city vibes and just general like energy that New York also brings. And I feel that the album feels very me, and I think that I just exist within sirens and parties and flashes and lights and things like that. Is very exciting to me as a human. but I actually think one of the coolest things about the music video is that it is lights. You can tell there's sound, you can tell it's loud, but what you're only hearing is the words and the music. It's almost like it quiets so that you can focus on who you are as a person.
So yeah, what made you do a visual album? Like that is a big, dropping an album at all, an EP is a lot of work.
Yeah.
What made you decide to do this added element of a visual album?
For search reasons. You know, I really wanted, I think my personal belief is that like music, people just consume it differently. Some people consume it while they walk. Some people consume it like, you know, in their car. Some people are in, like me, in bed watching YouTube videos. And so I'm not gonna personally listen to music on YouTube unless there's a video. And I just like music videos. I like videos in general. And so it just was a no-brainer to me that there would be some kind of video, but it took a lot of thinking to be like, what would it be? I self-produced my Freaky With You music video, and it was really popular. A lot of friends told me they felt like it was, they could tell that I had really stepped up my energy and like my commitment to like the perfection and the collaboration. And I just wanted to do it again, and I wanted to do it bigger and better. And I was watching actually Conan Gray. Are you familiar with Conan Gray?
Yes.
He has the Wishbone trilogy, which is 3 songs from his Wishbone album that go together, and it felt really like a cohesive short film. And I thought that this album, this EP, could take the form of a short film as well, because it really is taking me through the process of being, I guess, like from the last 6 years of really opening up, being someone who realized, hey, something's up here and I need to start addressing the deeper feelings within me, to now where I'm like dating, and I didn't know that that was what I wanted back then, and I didn't know that it was possible for me to achieve even just wanting it. I think that's the big piece. A lot of times like music is about people who already know they want it and then they go and get it, or they don't, or whatever. But I think there's something beautiful about just admitting that you want something, which is I think what the Sing About You song is also about.
Okay, so this is track 2.
Yeah.
Like, can you expand a little bit about like the inspiration?
Yeah. So this was like a moment that I was having with somebody that I think it's a really general feeling. You know, when you like someone who likes someone else, is essentially kind of like the song where, you know, it's kind of like Taylor Swift Teardrops on My Guitar vibes.
Okay.
Where it's like, hey, I really like you, but you're talking about how much you like this person. And I think there was a moment where I was listening to somebody's song about another guy, and I was like, I feel like I sing that about you. And it just made me, it made me realize that like, this is something that's really common within artists is like, and musicians is like, you might be sitting there listening to somebody gab about their crush, and you are like, okay, like I wish I could tell you that I had that feeling about you, but for some reason I'm not going to, or for some reason I don't want to, or I feel like I can't. And so this song is really me, 3 a.m., expressing as if I would have said it. That's what I sing about you. I want you to come over. I want you to, be the person in my life that brings me that companionship. Ultimately, like, it's kind of a general feeling. I feel like this happens to me often, where like I meet somebody and I like them and they either like somebody else or again are a heterosexual human being. And so I feel like that's why it's the middle track, because it's the middle of the arc where I am actually willing to admit. Maybe I'm not going to ask for anything, but I'm going to admit that this is what I want.
And I do think it is a great response to the first song, whether that's planned or not, because the first song, Never Know, is singing about someone.
Honestly, like, it's been really interesting, this journey of like being able to admit that I want to date, which is such a funny thing because some people don't have that journey, and that's wonderful for them. I had that journey. I went through my 20s being like, I'm single, I want to be single, I don't want to date, And I think that, meeting oftentimes a friend can feel like a crush, or a crush can feel like a friend, and it's not the right person, or it's just not the right situation, or whatever. But like it's still a feeling, and it's still worth admitting that you have that feeling.
Well, I love the song, and I like the electric guitar. Nice little change of pace from track 1, which is Never Know. I read in Tiger Beat magazine that it was the first song that inspired you to dig deeper into truthful songwriting as self. So what was your process to go there and to access these feelings?
Yeah, I had just gone to a comedy show where a comedian had actually said the words, "It's okay to still love your first love." And that just sent me on an entire, whoa, like, I thought I was supposed to be angry. I thought I was supposed to absolutely distance myself from somebody. And he was just like, this comedian was, it's just like someone like at our level, at like one of the theaters, and was like, it's okay to love your first love. And that just opened up a lot for me. It just really made me feel like maybe there's a different feeling than I thought I was supposed to have.
And is there a lyric in this song, like that comedian said something so powerful? Is there a lyric in the song that is like extra in the feels when you sing it?
There's one, there's a few. The first one that comes to mind is, and I loved you, and you said you'd never love me, and I still think about that because I know that was a lie. Which is, to me, sums up the whole relationship of what from my perspective. He might have an entirely different story. And then there's two other lines there's one that's, sometimes I think I see you on the street. And that one feels really true. Sometimes I'm like, as I am, like, and it just brings up certain feelings, emotions, thoughts, energies. And then the last one is, babe, you're still the one I want. A, because it's kind of Shania. And B, because in moments you can still feel like, hey, I wish this worked out. And it didn't. And it's okay, and we're moving on, but I do sometimes wish it worked out. And it's heartbreaking that it didn't in some cases,
Yeah. But thank goodness it brought us a great hit.
A great hit song, exactly. Well, when I perform it, people have come up to me and like expressed that it really touches them, and it really like allows them to access those feelings for themselves. So that means a lot to me too.
And are you excited to perform these songs live, especially track 3, Just One Night? It is a straight bop, first of all. I was singing around my apartment. Yeah. I love it. I mean, I love all of the songs, but this one's a little bit more, this is the third track. It's a little bit more upbeat. Tell us, about that choice. What's
cool about the order of the songs is they're actually in order in my life.
Okay.
And so the first song, being college and kind of the reflections on college. The second song being 2 years ago, 1 year ago, that kind of vibes. And this last song, Just One Night, is something that was very October 2025.
Okay.
And it really was just, ultimately, like I was actually at dinner with a family friend and who actually was present for the relationship in college. And I was telling her about that song and about the relationship and where I am with it now. And she was like, you know what, it's okay. Like we're just past it. And like, you're here, he's there, like, look at you, everything. And I decided to like go out. Like I decided to like go out, and like, I just like genuinely was like, I'm going to just kind of like, I have been trying to go out. Like I've been trying to go dancing and whatever. And I was like, it felt like closure to me, that dinner. And I was like, I'm going to go and just kind of be open. That's what it felt like to me. And I like kind of met somebody who was just from out of town, and it couldn't be something that was forever. It could, but like it couldn't and wasn't. And I had just a fantastic like night exploring what it's like to kind of have that connection with somebody. And I had a wonderful time. And like I got home at like 5 a.m. or something. I wrote this, and I just immediately, like you said, immediately wrote this song. And I just, had that first line, midnight bar. I go down the stairs, I meet this guy. He looks at me with a sip and a smile. Like, it all just kind of poured out. And then ultimately, like, I came home and I never thought I was going to see him again. And I just wrote that. Yeah. And it was 10 minutes.
Wow.
With my head on his chest.
Oh,
I was home.
Yeah, the line that seriously kills me is, he's going back to Vienna.
Yeah. And I'm going back to being alone.
Oh.
But with my head on his chest, I was home.
That's my favorite line. It's so
I know.
Like heartbreaking, but like, again, a bop.
It's true. It's a bop, yeah. And Evan was so helpful in kind of creating the sound and the vibes and really the energy of the recording of that song. So I really like all the songs for their own reasons. And what I like most about them is how they relate to each other and how they build throughout the album. It feels very aligned with what actually happened.
Yeah, and you are like belting out on these choruses, which I love. And it is like a different sound than the other songs.
Mm-hmm. In a way, it's like I find my voice throughout this album.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're coming to a close here.
Oh, no.
Before we do, I did want to know, do you have a favorite song on this album?
I think "Sing About You" is my favorite. As I listen to it, and as I go over and over and over and over and over at listening to the mastered versions and the mixed versions and the demo versions, it's been the one that I've had on repeat the most.
Okay.
And it's the one, I think, because it's the middle, it's the moment of change. It's the moment of honesty and admitting that there's more for me, and like, I think ultimately it's also a bop when I sing it in the park, because I've been busking and singing in the park, and I'll do these 3 songs in order and see kind of the reactions. And the second I go into the first chorus, like, that's what I sing about you when I'm all alone. Like, people really, they give me a thumbs up or $1. I honestly prefer the thumbs up.
Wow. And that's when you know you're passionate.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Thumbs up over...
A thumbs up over $1.
Over George Washington.
I got dollars.
Yeah.
Like 3 of them.
What about your heart? Are you looking for love?
I feel honestly like the fact that I'm open to it is the big news. I don't think there's like somebody that I'm crushing on, someone that I'm talking to. I think the fact that I got to a place where I'm literally like able to say, hey, I'm a person who actually does one day want to be in a relationship with another person and then live my life that way, feels like where I am currently. So it's almost like the ending of the story is not that I found love or that now there's somebody. A lot of rom-coms and stuff, like, what is it, 500 Days of Summer? He goes through this whole relationship with
a flash mob!
And a flash
like
mob, yeah. And but then at the end of the movie, he like meets someone new, and that's like the big happy ending. But like that's not what this album isn't necessarily that the happy ending is within somebody else.
Ooh.
The happy ending is within me and my openness and willingness to have a happy ending.
I love that. And what do you hope that your fans and listeners take away from this album?
Tickets to my tour.
He's always working.
Always promoting, me. I honestly, there are 2 things. I think the first thing is that in my general body of work, I hope that I can encourage people to live their lives in bold, which I feel like has to do with a depth, a willingness to dig deep, a willingness to go after whatever it may be that you want, whether you're certain about what you want or not. And the second piece is like, personally, maybe this is a little egotistical but really not. Like, I want people to walk away knowing that this was a project that I cared about.
Oh my God, is he crying? Oh, it's okay.
I want people to know that this is something that I put a lot of work into, and it was like a journey for me. It was like something that I was able to access in myself. Like 4 years ago, I told a friend, I was like, oh, I never cry. And she was like, that's a problem. Like, you have to be able to cry because it's a human emotion and you're blocking a human emotion. That's what she said to me, humorously. And then I kind of went on this journey, and I, really since the pandemic, just like learning my identity professionally, learning my identity as an entrepreneur, as an artist, as a musician, and just as a person and a soul, I think that I've really grown a lot, and I think as a human, I care so much about growing. And so I hope that people, when they hear or watch or listen or attend this experience of Boys Who Kept Me Up at Night, that they see that I put my whole heart into it.
That's beautiful. And look how far you've come. Did you zoom in on that tear?
We'll have to add a real tear.
I saw it. The glitter in his eye.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to say a rapid fire word.
Okay.
And I want you to say whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
Woody Guthrie.
Hey, hey.
The Stonewall Inn.
Chauncey.
Miley Cyrus.
Something Beautiful.
Pizza.
Split.
Boys.
Who Kept Me Up at Night.
And that is our show, Life in Ben. Stream this new EP, Boys Who Kept Me Up at Night, dropping on all listening platforms February 6th.
Yeah. I just want to say also, thank you for doing this. You really blew it out of the water, and you are so the person that I wanted to do this interview and to be the host of Life in Ben. Because I know how hard you work. I know how much you put into this interview, and I just wanted to thank you.
Oh my God, I'm honored. I'm honored. Thank you, Ben.
Amazing. Well,
I love
everybody, you have to go stream this thing.
Yeah, and I have already, and I am singing it in my apartment, and I can't wait to harmonize with someone else that has heard it too.
Me.
Yeah, let's do it right
Oh
now.
my gosh. Thank you.
Thank you.